Now I will show you how to create database and table. In order to create database, I will have to write a code. The code is this one. This is the SQL code, and using this I can easily create the database. So like the previous lecture, what I am going back to the connection section. Okay, so I use this video in order to write my database connection. So just I am going to do one thing. Okay, this one. So after the connection is created and the new object is created by the video, here what I can do, I can just write this code, create database this. So I am going to copy this code and I am going to paste it. So here are two lines. In the first line, I am going to write a SQL query. In the SQL query, you will have to write something like this: create database. You cannot change this. You will have to use this one. So create database. Then you can give any name. Here I give the name testdb001. Now if you go to the localhost PHP myadmin, you will see that there is no database by this name. So if I run the command, then a database will be created in the using the PHP myadmin, that is testdb001. I'm going to close it. Okay, now let's check it and you will understand. I am now going to run this command from here. Just refresh the page. Connected successfully. Actually not connected successfully. Here I should call database is created successfully. However, that is not important thing. What message you see? Now you see that if I refresh this page, there is no database created. Okay, so there is actually no database created here by this name. What I will do now, I will again check it. Connection, execute SQL, create database, this one. So I am going to create, I am going to check it again, root localhost. So let's check it. I am going to refresh it. It is telling me that testdb001 database exists. Where is it? I am not sure. Testdb001, where is exist? I am going to log out from here. I am going to go to the root and log in. Testdb001, actually it was created. So I am going to remove this again. Drop the database. Okay, now let's run this command again. Okay, I will again run this command. Now you see that there is no database here. Now I am going to create it, refresh. You see that database is created successfully. So I am going to hard refresh here and you will see that the testdb001, this one comes. This is the database I have just created using this command. And after creating database, I will create a table into here. You know that because in any one of the previous lectures I showed you that we can easily create table going to here. But instead of going here, using the command prompt and using the PHP query language, we can easily create the table here. So I am just going to copy this data. I am going to copy this here. And here I will now create like this. Here a blank space comes actually, so I am going to remove it. Okay, so I will create a table. You will have to write this one. I am going to close this. Create table students, right? So students table will be created where? It will be created into a database, but here there is no database. So what I can call here, that is db name equal to db name, and here I am going to call db name equal to, I will have to give the name of the database where I will create the table, because here are many number of other databases too. So in which database I will create table, I will have to give the name here. So this is the database name, and here when I started the connection, I tell that my database name is this. You will have to use the db name, this variable here. And now in this database a table will be created whose name will be students, and the id, that means the first field here, will be integer, and unsigned auto increment. Unsigned means it will be positive numbers starting from 1, and no negative number will come here. And auto increment is auto increment key. I already have shown you. For example, I will show you later also what is auto increment. Auto increment means when the first item will be inserted into here, it will be go into the id 1. When the second item will be inserted into this students table, so that will be automatically assigned to id 2. So this id will be incremented by 1. First id will be 1, second one's id will be 2, third one's id will be 3, fourth one's id will be 4. In this way the id will be auto incremented here. And the first key id, I will make it a primary key. That means this key will be unique in this table, and you cannot override this key. That means you cannot duplicate this key. Here is first name, for example var character and 30. That means I will give it a string. That string can contain only 30 characters. If you give the first name that exceeds the 30 character, it will show error, and it will be not null. That means you must have to give this value. And if you set up null here, that means you can make this field empty. But in a students table, first name and last name, it should be given must. So I am going to put here not null attributes. And email and phone are optional here, not null given, but if you want you can also give the email is not null. And phone number can be optional, you can just give. If you want, you will give phone number or not, but email must have to be given. So this query I am going to run, and then let's check what is going to be happen. I am going to refresh. This message I can change, but I am not going to change, no problem. I am going to refresh it now. You see that here a table has been created. This is the students table, right? And in the students table, if I go to see the structure, you will see that this is the first name, last name, id, and this is primary key. Also auto increment is here, and phone number is nullable, but first name, last name, email, these are not nullable. And all are these two are var character 30 and these two are 50-50. So this is working perfectly here. So in this way you can create table into the database. The primary key is actually the id. I already have told you what is this. This is actually the unique key, and this id I assign unsigned, but the primary key means the primary key is an unique key in a table. You cannot duplicate this thing with another row. So the id you will give for one particular row, it cannot be duplicated for other people. So this is actually the unique key, or here it will be called the primary key. So primary key, here you see that a primary key is a unique identifier for each record or row in a database table. I already have told it. A primary key column cannot contain null values. If you want, you cannot change this id as null. You see that null is no. If a field you have set up a primary and then you try to make it null, it is not possible and give you error. And must have unique values for all the records in the table. A table can have only one primary key. You see that here id is primary key. If you want that you will make email also primary key, it is not possible, because in a particular table only one key will be the primary key. There is another key, that is foreign key. The foreign key concept, it will come when we will go to join two tables. Actually the concept is that foreign key is just a field like the primary key in one table that refers the primary key in another table. That means the student id here in this table is unique. So I insert some students, for example, then this id field if I use into another table where I use this id, So in that table I can I can retrieve the data from both two tables easily, writing a nice join query. And in that case this ID, if I use into another table, so this ID into another table, that means the primary key of one table, if I put it as a normal field into another table, so that will be actually a foreign key. So I hope you have learned very well how to create database and table.